Women's rights in other countries are much different from here in South Australia. A lot of other countries are more unfair and tough. Take India for example. Discrimination against women starts at home. Much of a household's males are given preferential treatment in terms of education, facilities, and mobility. Very few girls gain the liberty to plan their own life. Their activities are controlled. This discrimination within the family breeds violence across society against women. Any violation of social norms is treated with contempt. The Indian government enacted a very strict law on crimes against women. This has not stopped people from committing violence against women. In most cases, police act with complete insensitivity, making women suffer a second time with their apathy and tendency to abuse power. It seems that rape is not an act worthy of serious punishment when it comes to India, as two girls were attacked as they were relieving themselves in the fields, which is normal in most of the villages in the country. Their attackers abducted, gang-raped and later hung them. The incident took place in Katra village of Badon district in Uttar Pradesh, just 200 kilometers outside Delhi. The girls, aged 12 and 15, were cousins. It is unknown the consequences that their attackers faced, and it's hard to say if they even were punished. The girls in question belong to the Dalit community, a marginalized section of Hindu society. Historically, Dalits have been socially and economically very backward. Most of the community members work as part-time tillers in the field or take up part-time labor to earn a living. Most of them are so poor that they cannot afford a functioning toilet at home and rely on nearby fields to relieve themselves. Rape is an instrument to stifle, deny and prevent gender-based equality. It is used to quell dissent or social movements, deter social mobility, maintain social hierarchy, restrict access to public spaces, deny safety at home, create unsafe work environments, punish the incarcerated and destroy the sexual or reproductive futures of hated communities. It is used to produce sexual humiliation, which is necessary for the reproduction of the patriarchal social order. This is a quote that somewhat relates to what was just said, regarding the fact that rape is not an act worthy of serious punishment, but rather seen as a useful instrument. It seems that women in general are not the only ones suffering from violence, as human rights defenders in India face repressive laws, surveillance, threats and physical violence while carrying out their legitimate work. According to Frontline Defenders, 6 human rights defenders were killed in India in 2016. Moving on to China, it seems that here also there is a lot of controversy with women's rights. To begin, on March 8, International Women's Day, police detained 5 women's rights activists planning an action to raise awareness about sexual harassment on public transportation. The issue of sexual harassment on China's overcrowded public transport system is well known. During a documenter's own time working in Beijing in 2013, several of their friends faced sexual harassment whilst on public transport, including several female colleagues being groped whilst another faced an elderly man openly masturbating in front of her, all whilst no one in the carriage appeared to bat an eyelid. When they later asked Beijing locals about the incident, they were told that only older men could take part in this kind of activity as they are senile and it was just the way things were. Furthermore, some women had been aiming to place stickers on public buses highlighting the daily harassment women face on public transport. They were instead arrested by authorities on the charge of picking quarrels. A Chinese NGO focused on women's rights in the workplace had found a huge number of issues ranging from women being given inadequate access to sanitary products during menstruation to receiving pornographic messages from co-workers, or even directly being sexually propositioned. This survey highlights an endemic issue within China's female workforce, as over 70% of those surveyed said they had faced some form of harassment, with a shocking 15% stating they had previously left a job because of sexual harassment. A common hope was that government officials will pay greater attention to the matter. This clearly illustrates the desire of women in China to see greater state intervention in issues of women's rights and to help with enforcement of existing policies. Women obviously do not enjoy being sexually harassed in the workplace or on public transport, especially when nobody stands against it and fights. Lastly, Morocco. There was not too much information to find on this country, but there is enough to suggest that it is very unfair. According to several witnesses, a municipal official threatened a woman named Fatiha, saying he would run her over with his car after slapping her, confiscating her commodities and taking all her money. After being forced to the police station and undergoing investigations in poor conditions, Fatiha would be let go too. Soon after, she immolated herself in an act of protest and desperation. A 16-year-old girl named Kadia was kidnapped by 8 men who drove her outside the city of Bangura to rape and torture her. As if Kadia hadn't suffered enough, her rapists tracked her down and threatened her. They told her that if she didn't drop the case, they would leak her rape tape. Kadia became the second Moroccan woman to set herself on fire that year, as she poured gasoline on herself on July 30th. Kadia was ending a long-lived nightmare on her own terms. When hearing how unfair these other countries treat women, and how poor some of the rights and laws are, South Australia is a very good place. Australia was one of the first places to allow women the right to vote. Today, women are still paid less than men, and still, according to some, lack the skills to perform in certain jobs, while men are allowed to go about the jobs freely. There are not. Hopefully one day the rights and laws in these countries, India, China and Morocco will change, but for now all that can be done is to protest and hope.